Well, hey there, listeners. Kath Langman here, and welcome to the Productpreneur Success podcast. I am recording this episode just probably, I don't know, a week before you guys are going to hear it, but literally the day before it gets published. It's going to be my eldest son's 18th birthday. Hopefully by the time you're hearing this, I will be, finally a little bit used to the idea of having an 18-year-old child. I'm sure I'm not old enough for that yet. But, I think right now I'm still not sure how I feel about that. But, as I'm sure you can imagine, coming up to what feels like a fairly momentous occasion in our family has definitely had me reflecting back over the last 18 years. And a huge part of my journey since becoming a mum has been my journey as an entrepreneur, because my son was 1 when I started my first business. But, also, I doubt I actually would have started my business had I not had my first baby. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you listeners, either are on a similar journey or have been on one. I think it's just so common having kids, finding that you enter into a really creative period of your life, having a lot of ideas and inspiration, whether it's product ideas or, just ways of doing things different or better than they may have been done before that inspire you to start a business. And also just more than that, the desires that I think are just so common to us women and mothers who start businesses, wanting to work on something that's perhaps a little bit more meaningful than our past careers might have been, or desires to earn an income with a bit more flexibility than a typical job might provide. And, having that chance to be around and present with your children, as well as be able to do something meaningful with your career. Anyway, all of that was true for me. Now here I am all these years later and I'm still at it. Anyway, that's not the topic I want to talk about today. The topic I want to talk about today on the show is actually about how you can leverage as many different free marketing strategies as you can. I mean, certainly in the early days of both my businesses, I definitely was focusing in pretty hard with these sorts of strategies, but I still incorporate them now, even with non-free stuff, paid stuff. So if you've listened to this show for long enough, or you've read much of my content at all, you'll probably know by now that I'm a pretty big advocate for having a marketing system in place that incorporates a few different strategies, a few different channels with your marketing. Not only to make sure that you can get the best overall results, of course we want that, but also so that you can scale, in particular, scale your website traffic to your store so that you can sell more, right? We've got to get visitors to our website before we can sell, right? But also so that you can have the most sustainable, low risk strategy overall as well. And I've definitely seen plenty of brands over the years go all in on one strategy or one channel, which might work really well for a while, but it's a little bit like playing with crypto. If you invested all of your money in crypto, a year or two ago, you might have been a millionaire for a short period of time, but now you're probably feeling like a bit of an idiot putting all your eggs in one basket. Hopefully that didn't happen to you. And of course, yes, I'm totally generalizing. But anyway, so the full marketing system that you need to have to get the best, most consistent and sustainable results incorporates owned, earned, and paid traffic channels. And I wrote a really detailed blog about this called "Did You Know There Are Only 3 Ways to Get Website Traffic?" And you can find that on my website. It's probably best if I just link to that from this episode's show notes page, but I'm sure if you Google katherinelangman.com 3 ways to get website traffic, you'll probably find it. Owned traffic sources, they include things like, obviously your website itself, your own content that you share on your own social media accounts. Now, caveat on that, you've got to remember that you don't actually own your audience on social media. By and large, Mark Zuckerberg owns most of that, but all the other channels as well. The audiences are owned by those channels, those social media platforms rather, but we can control and own the content that we share. And then, my favorite owned source that many of you would know by now is your database, and, that you can use for your email marketing, your SMS marketing. Earned sources of traffic and sales are things like word of mouth referrals, SEO, PR, unpaid PR, of course, other unpaid viral content, social shares, even things like third-party review sites and business awards, things like that. And then paid sources of traffic and sales are pretty easy to identify because it's anything that you are paying to advertise on. It could be Meta advertising, Google advertising. You can pay to advertise on Pinterest, TikTok rather, YouTube. You can pay to advertise on other sites as well, like Mum's Grapevine or Mamma Mia, or any news media site. Or wherever you feel like your audience is hanging out. You can also pay to advertise elsewhere, like exhibiting at expos and trade shows and markets and outdoor media and print media. There's probably literally a million different choices. Now, if you want to grow your business, you do need to try and find ways to invest in the most scalable source of traffic and sales, which is going to be your paid media. However, obviously, that's costs money, right? And in the economic climate that we operate in now, I think we all need to find ways to get visibility for our brand and generate website traffic and sales in the most cost-effective way possible. And of course, any time that we can put some effort into those free / super cheap strategies, then we're also going to end up with the result that our paid strategies are more profitable as well, because they end up taking up a much smaller portion of our total revenue. So let's talk about a whole bunch of owned and earned marketing strategies that we can employ for free right now to boost our overall profitability of our marketing. Now let's start with owned traffic. So the benefits, I'll list out again what they are in just a second, but the benefits of owned traffic are that you can attract and engage your audience and start building relationships with them. And that, ultimately ends up leading to customers that become loyal, raving fans. And you can also have full control over this kind of traffic because it's yours, or this kind of marketing content because it's yours. Now, the flip side, or the downside of your owned traffic, is that it is going to be the more time-intensive marketing strategies that you'll employ, and it's also difficult to scale. So when I talk about scaling, I mean, can you increase the volume of traffic and sales from that source of traffic? Obviously, with paid traffic, you can spend more money to get more traffic, right? And obviously get more sales. But when it's your own sources of traffic, then it is a little bit more difficult to scale. However, if you can employ a number of these owned strategies, then you will ultimately get more than if you just do one, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, the first thing I really want to hone in on here in terms of your owned strategies, your owned marketing channels, is your website. Because this, when you're an e-commerce store, your website is your shop, right? There are so many different ways that you can improve your, the revenue you can generate from your website by literally just working on the website. And, this can be ways to increase the revenue from your conversions. It can also be ways that you can bring traffic to it, of course. So let's just list out a bunch of different ways that you can try and make more money from your website, and you should be able to implement a bunch of these yourself today. Number one, what can you do to increase your average order value? I love working on strategies to increase AOV. Probably two of the ones that I would say straight out of the gate that you should be able to get up and running. Number one, think about your free shipping threshold. I personally love to use a free shipping threshold as a way to try and just encourage customers to buy at a certain dollar value, right? Now, you've got to find that sweet spot. You probably don't want it to be too high, because then the shipping can cost you an arm and a leg. But also, you don't want it to be so lean that it doesn't give you an order value that warrants, or becomes profitable when you're spending money, when you are spending money on ads, right? So, think about what that free shipping threshold is. And I definitely encourage you to make that shipping threshold, and, you know, highlight what the amount is for, if you have to pay shipping, is it $10? Is it $20? Whatever. Make sure that that's visible on every page. So free shipping threshold. Also, bundles are a really, really, really good way, and at, you know, helping to increase your average order value. Bundles can also actually help increase your conversion rate, because if you are selling the sort of product where customers, you know, first-time customers, maybe they don't know how to choose what's right, you know, you can make it super easy by just, you know, bundling all the relevant things in together in one bundle. And there's lots of different ways that you can, you know, slice and dice that. But, you know, just as a general strategy, bundles are an excellent way to increase AOV. There are other things you can do too. You can do things like, you know, have upsells at the checkout process. You can have other customers love, you know, shown on product at the bottom of product pages, like the Amazon strategy. You can, you know, do things like gifts with purchase, you know, spend X and get this for free. So have a think about strategies that you can use to increase your AOV. Obviously, if you make more money per transaction, you're going to make more money overall. Next, what can you do to just actually help your conversion rate? Now, I just mentioned bundles can actually help conversion rate, but what else can you do? Now, the first thing I want to mention here is your page load speed. We know statistically that the longer it takes for your website to load up, then the lower your conversion rate will be. There are free tools online. Just Google website page load speed test, and you'll, you know, find some options. You can plug in your website and it will spit out the speed. And if it is, oh gosh, I'm not going to remember the specific number off the top of my head, but it's like 3 seconds, over 3 seconds, and to load up a page. And you really need to pay attention to the mobile phone page load speeds, because they'll usually be slower. Yet the most traffic comes from mobile these days, right? So most people are going to view your website on the mobile. You've got to make sure your site is not super slow. But if it is, you know, over 3 seconds, the longer it takes for your website to load up, then you know, your conversion rate drastically drops. So massive correlation there. Call to action buttons. This is probably something that a lot of people don't really think about in terms of your conversion rate, but there's a lot of call to action buttons on an e-commerce site. You know, people come to your homepage. There's probably, well, there should be one on the hero image. There's going to be other, you know, call to action buttons further down the homepage. You know, people can add to cart from the homepage. On your product page, you know, the add to cart button. You know, when you get to the checkout, the buy now button. You know, what can you do to potentially increase the number of or the percentage of people that are clicking on these buttons and actually getting to the checkout? Sometimes it can be literally changing the color of the button so that it's a contrasting color. You know, we're very visual creatures. We're often doing things in a rush. Sometimes people just don't really know where to click. And, you know, I'll often see really beautiful websites that are, you know, the colors are all, you know, really beautifully designed and, you know, very consistent throughout. But if the call to action buttons are exactly the same color as everything else on the website, it becomes much harder for customers to know where to click. You can also, you know, even play around with the words on these buttons as well, just to try and encourage a higher click rate. Product pages are another area where you can definitely increase the add to cart rate. I've done a whole episode on product pages. So, you know, definitely go give that one a listen. But, you know, you know, really look at, if you study some of the websites that have, you know, are going to have the highest kind of conversion rates. I always love to go to the birdsnest.com.au website. It's a great example, but, you know, there are various elements on a product page that lend or that lead to a higher add to cart rate. And one thing that I think is probably missed a lot, because a lot of people think they're really bad at it, is the copy, you know, the product descriptions, literally writing product descriptions. And for that, I just have a simple reminder. You've got to remember that we are emotional creatures. You know, we buy the benefit or the outcome or the experience. We're not buying the features of the product. So make sure that you are, you know, focusing that description on that, you know, product benefit statement. Another thing that I just want to, you know, mention here that can help your conversion rate is a product selection quiz. Now, this is not going to be for 100% of businesses, but if you have the sort of product range where it can be a little bit difficult for customers to decide on what they want to buy, especially online, then a selection quiz can be super helpful. Things like skincare, makeup, but even clothes. We're testing a quiz now for a client of ours who has baby sleep related products. But so there's a variety of different ways that a product selection quiz can help customers to make a purchase decision because they feel more confident that they've chosen the right one for them. I recently bought a pillow online, and I think the brand name was Spinalese or something like that. And they had a really good product selection quiz that helped me find the right pillow because of my height and because I'm a side sleeper, not a tummy sleeper or a back sleeper. And, so I bought it. It was great. So moving on from conversion rate optimization, what other strategies could you think up to improve the user experience on your website, especially on mobile? And this, I think a lot of small business owners, particularly if you are working on your website yourself and using, say, a template to create your website, you'll be working on your website on your desktop or your laptop because it's a bigger screen and it's easier to do, right? But oftentimes you don't then go and have a look at shopping on your own website on a mobile, yet that's going to be the experience that the vast majority of your customers have, just because the, vast majority of consumers are viewing websites on their mobile these days. It's a smaller screen, right? And so, really looking at things like the menu navigation. This is a hugely important thing to work on to improve your user experience or usability of your website. We really need to be able to help our customers find exactly what they want as quickly and easily as possible without, so that means things like don't label your menu labels with terms that because your brand or your product range really, really well, but does it mean anything to your customers? For example, if you have given your spring summer range a particular name because that was it represents the designs in that collection, or it was the inspiration that you had for that collection or whatever, that means something to you. It's not going to mean the slightest bit of anything to your customers. So we've got to be really careful about how we label our menu, and also just how we structure our menu as well. So make sure you keep your top level menu product focused, and don't put all of the things like blogs and social media and all of that stuff up the top, because that's going to lead our customers away from the store, not into the store. And then just moving through the store as well, down the page and through the store, is it just we just got to make sure it's really easy for customers when they come to our website. Do they immediately understand and perceive what it is that we sell, who it's for, and how to get it? So those are the things that we want to keep in mind for making our website as easy to use as possible, and particularly on mobile. Next, are there ways that you can improve the checkout experience? Especially if you realize that your shopping cart abandonment rate is quite high. So obviously, once you get people to your product page, you have a really good opportunity to increase your add to cart rate. But once they get into the checkout, then they're dropping out. So if they are, you want to look at ways that you can try and improve that checkout experience. If you're on Shopify, make sure you've got things like the Shop Pay, because that's going to just make it super duper easy for customers who are used to using Shopify, and they can just punch in the code that pops up and away they go. Also, other payment methods that are common and easy, like now that we are all shopping on our mobiles, or not all of us, but a good chunk of us, things like Apple Pay and Google Pay make it really, really easy for people to check out. And of course, buy now, pay later methods, not that you should have loads of them, but I think it is important to at least offer one or two at the moment. Also things like, making sure that you have your shipping costs visible before people actually enter the checkout. I think I mentioned that before, but it's really annoying if you have to actually start going through the checkout to actually figure out how much the postage costs. So that is a big reason why people abandon their cart. If you have the kind of checkout that you can optimize in some way, shape, or form, try not to force your customers to have to enter a billing address and a shipping address. Have a checkbox where they can, add the separate billing address if they want to. The fewer things that people have to fill out, the better, really. Other ways that you can help improve your website conversions and help customers to make a decision, you might be able to include a product demonstration video that could go on your website homepage. It could go, or like a brand video could go on your a brand story, or a founder's video could go on your homepage, and then a product demo video on your product page would be a great idea. Making sure you're showing social proof, especially user-generated content, as much as possible. And where possible, make sure that stuff is independently verified, so that it's not just you, the business owner, saying this stuff, but it's verified by an app, whether that's Klaviyo reviews or Stamped or Judge Me or something like that. Other ways to help improve or increase conversions are things like showing trust symbols. If you want to try and win new customers, then they need to know, like, and trust you. So trust symbols can be things like showing secure symbols, like symbols to show secure payment, symbols to show that your reviews are independently reviewed, verified rather, and if there's any other trust symbols that you can employ, like as seen in logos and things like that. Also, risk reversal methods, like a money back satisfaction guarantee. If you have the sort of product that people feel a little bit fearful about trying, which certainly was my experience having a cloth nappy brand, then this is important. And you might be worried that everyone's going to take it up and you'll sell stuff, but then have to refund them all. And I promise you that that's not going to happen. Obviously, you have some terms and conditions around it, but it is very, very helpful at, just giving people peace of mind to offer that sort of a money back guarantee. The increase in conversion rate will outweigh any increase in needing to refund money, I promise you. All right, the next owned content or marketing that you can focus on is, of course, your social media content. And I'm not going to go super in detail here because, again, I've created recorded a whole episode that you can go and listen to about this kind of stuff. But just focus in on your edutainment type content. Obviously, you also want to use, post some kind of more salesy type stuff where you're literally inviting people to buy. But edutainment should be a big focus, where you are featuring, content that shares stories or depicts scenarios or situations that are really familiar to your audience, so that they kind of, you're demonstrating that you really understand them, right? Understand their needs right now. And so, and also trying to share it in a way where your audience can connect, a little bit more on an emotional plane with you and your brand. So things like, what are the ingredients in your products? Can you talk about that? Or is there some kind of product secret sauce that you could share? Could you show a behind the scenes video or image about your, production line or packing orders? People love kind of seeing that sort of stuff. Things like, your product feature of choice, what occasion would you use this, and what are the attributes? I've seen the Bird's Nest crew do that kind of content really well on their social media. Product demonstration videos are super effective, especially if you can also get variations of, you might have an official product demonstration video that you as the brand owner have produced, but then also organize some user-generated content videos as well, where it's like a customer that's showing, how to use the product or how they use the product and talking about what they love about it and that sort of thing. If you follow the brand, it's a US brand, Boom by Cindy Joseph. It's a skincare and makeup brand for more mature women. And they do fantastic marketing. And if you check out some of their content, they do that user-generated content really well. You could also feature some of your suppliers or makers or designers, depending on what kind of products that you sell, of course. We have some clients who have custom designed or custom artists creating it and producing these beautiful custom designs and artworks that are then, you know, printed onto fabrics and things like that. I mean, that would make a fabulous feature story for some content. If you have a founder or brand video, you know, you could definitely share that, you know. So what's the motivation behind your brand? What is the problem that your product is trying to solve, or the unique value proposition that, you know, that you offer? You can showcase products in use in, you know, perhaps either familiar or maybe slightly aspirational situations and scenarios. Things like stop motion videos, you know, they can be really, really effective at showcasing the most desirable features and benefits of products. You could showcase content that's like a day in the life of your customer. You can definitely, you know, pull out other sorts of content ideas like unboxing videos and you know, there's all kinds of stuff, right? Anyway, social media content, obviously, you know, you own your own pages. You want to create content that is going to be engaging, and you want to also just make sure that you are kind of authentic about the way you go about it. You know, don't just use all the AI tools that are around these days, because, you know, that's not going to be very engaging at all. And then, of course, try and engage back when people do comment, right? Then the third owned channel that I really want to hone in on, of course, is the email list. Now, this should be a big focus for any of you who are wanting to build on your free or cheap marketing strategies over time, because email marketing is literally the most effective in terms of results, especially when you combine SMS with it as well. Obviously, you need to build a list, though, otherwise the numbers are going to be small. But if you can incorporate consistent list building strategies over time, then, you know, you start to see your email marketing revenue component amplify and grow over time. So it's kind of like the compound interest effect, right? So ways that you can improve the amount of money that you make from your email marketing that you can try right now. You can split test your opt-in offers or incentives. You can review, and by split testing, you know, you're looking at the submit rate of how many people are actually opting in. We like to aim for a 5% opt-in rate. I think the average for e-commerce is like 3.5%. So submit rate is really good, but then obviously you also need to look at the conversion rate, you know, how many people are placing orders based off those subscriptions. Review your results from your automated email flows and your broadcast email campaigns, and you want to review them over time and just see that you're improving them. So looking at your own averages, but then also review them against benchmark averages as well. So if you're on Klaviyo, there is a great bit of content on their site that is benchmark averages per industry. So that's super useful. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. And yeah, like obviously, if you can start to see that revenue per recipient metric go up over time, then, you know, that means that you're doing a better job with your marketing. Now, if you've had an email list for a while and you haven't cleaned up your lists for some time, particularly if you're starting to see your open rates drop, then it's time to clean up your email list. So, you know, really, you know, whether you do a win back type campaign and then lead into or like a sunset campaign where you know you're trying to just try and re-engage the unengaged people on your list, and if they don't open anything at all through that sort of a campaign, then you would suppress them, right? And, you know, don't be upset about that. People aren't going to stay buying from you indefinitely. You know, typically as a business, you'll have a lifetime that you can hope to keep customers buying from you. So once they get to the end of that, you know, it's time that we move them off our list so that then we can improve our deliverability rates and improve our open rates and therefore improve our results, okay? Now, then I want to mention, do you have a professional looking template designed in your Klaviyo account? I spend a lot of time reviewing and auditing and working with clients on their, well, on all of their marketing, but I love email marketing, as many of you know. So I spend a fair bit of time with clients in their Klaviyo account, and oftentimes I'll be auditing a new client's account, and, you know, the templates are just like All they've done is edit the logo and the colors in the bog standard templates that are in the account. And if that's the first step at getting up and running, of course, go with it. But, you know, don't leave it like that indefinitely. You would not believe how much better your results can be from your email marketing when you have a professional looking template designed. You can do things like split test subject lines and look, you know, start looking for patterns for your highest open rates. Your subject line is going to be pretty much one of the things that you can have control over that will actually improve your open rates. The more people who open your emails, the more money you're going to make from your emails, right? So start looking for patterns there. Make sure your call to action buttons pass the squint test. I love that piece of advice. That comes from Klaviyo themselves, but it's also pretty logical. When you think about it, most people are reading their emails on their mobile phone these days, and if they can't see the button to click, then they're not going to click, right? So super important one there. Again, that means trying to use a contrasting color can be helpful, like we were talking about with the website. But also don't just don't make it really small, or don't just use a text link or an image link. Regularly review your conversion rate and revenue per recipient. So what kind of content offers and all that kind of stuff are getting the best results. You know, the more that you can see and track patterns and track trends and do more of what's working, the more money you're going to make. And then finally, I just want to talk about, you know, how important it is to put a plan together for your ongoing email marketing campaigns, because probably the biggest reason why people don't make money from email is because they're not sending, number one, they're not sending enough emails, and number two, they're not sending good ones. And by good ones, I mean ones that customers actually want to open and that might influence them to buy. So if you start with a plan, then you won't have to sit there staring at a blank document, a blank Word document, trying to think up what to put in it. I've spoken so much today. I need a drink of the water variety today. Don't worry. It's not the 18th birthday yet. All right, let's move on to earned traffic and sales. So the place earned traffic plays in your marketing system is that it helps increase your brand visibility through engaging with your community via means like word of mouth referrals, unpaid viral content. You know, so that might be where some big influencer just happens to try your product and loves it and gives a shout out, or showcases it on their page to millions of people. Organic social shares, unpaid PR, organic search, third-party referrals, even things like business awards or product awards, right? There's a variety of different ways that you can earn traffic and sales, right? And the pros of earned traffic is probably easy enough to guess. It's highly credible, has a really high trust rating, because it's not you, the brand owner, spruiking yourself, right? It's other people saying, hey, these guys are really great. I love them. You should buy them. So it has that really high trust rating. And usually, you know, the end result of that is it has a really long lasting effect as well. On the flip side, you don't have much control, if any, and it's very difficult to plan or predict, right? And you also can't scale it up, right? So this is the sort of strategy where if you are running paid traffic and you can also do some of this, then you will start to see a big boost ahead in your paid traffic results. So as an example, a couple of our clients recently got a free recommendation on the Mum's Grapevine blog. So oftentimes you pay for the listings and pay for ads on that particular digital media publication rather. But these two clients, they just happened to get a free one, and which was amazing, right? And we were able to help them get, you know, really amplify the results. So, I mean, initially they got a hit of traffic and they've got a permanent backlink. So that's great for SEO, but we were able to amplify the benefits of that by having the publication, the media logo, and using that, you know, in their ads. So it's like as seen in blah, 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 and also putting that as a new section on the website as well. Now, I really want to pay particular mention to 3 areas of earned traffic. And the first is SEO, so search engine optimization. Now, this kind of straddles both owned and earned traffic because, you do control the content that you publish on your website, but the outcome is an increase in organic search traffic to your website. So the first thing you want to do, if you haven't done it for some time or never at all, is you want to spend some time researching what your customers are Googling for. You can use you can just use go into Google AdWords or Google Ads and use their keyword planning tool. But there's also other tools like SEMrush, which is what we use. There's Ubersuggest by Neil Patel, which has a pretty good free option as far as I can recall. But you want to spend some time researching what your customers are Googling for, and you want to look for search terms that have high search volume and also a high level of purchase intent. So by that, I mean, don't try and rank for something that might be vaguely related to what you sell if it's got absolutely nothing to do with what like if the customer might or the visitor might come to see that piece of content, but they, absolutely in no way, shape or form intending to buy what you sell. So an example might be, say, for instance, you sell a kids fashion accessory. Maybe it's like, I don't know, hats, sunglasses, that sort of thing. And then you decide to publish a blog about sun safety for kids at the beach. It's kind of related, right? But unless you find a way to really make that relevant to people who actually want to buy sunglasses, then you're just going to find a whole lot of traffic coming to your site and then bouncing off. They might literally only become... Another example, one of our clients was promoting a hospital checklist, and this is for maternity related stuff, but the customers were, or the people coming to look at that piece of content, they weren't actually looking to buy anything. And so they weren't there with the intent to purchase any maternity wear or nursing wear. Yes, they're, potentially the right kind of, demographic and stage of life and things like that, but there's no purchase intent. So you've got to pick the right kind of keywords that you want to optimize for so that you're getting quality traffic. The next thing that I want to do, because I don't want to make this episode 100 years long, is I want to direct you to listen to two of our most popular all-time podcast episodes, which are both about SEO and featuring my beautiful SEO expert from my team, Karen. And the first is how to get more free traffic with SEO, and the second is how to create your 12-month SEO plan. And they are episodes 110 and episode 113. So I will include the links to those episodes on the show notes page for this episode, make it super easy for you to go find it. Next, how can you encourage more word of mouth referrals? You might feel like you have no control over this. You do have limited control, but you do have things that you can do. And the first thing that I want to just say is like the unboxing experience. What's the experience for your customers once they purchase? Not just unboxing, but once they purchase, what are you sending them any cool or interesting or useful content via email? When they get the parcel, are they going to be a bit disappointed? Is it going to take 100 years to get to them? I recently I think I told you guys on the podcast the story of ordering something for my puppy dog, and I was super excited to get it, but it literally took 6 weeks to get here. I realized later down the track, I thought I was buying from an Australian website. It was a drop shipper coming from, AliExpress or something like that. Anyway, and I got it, and it was just this thing shoved in a satchel. There was nothing that made it a nice experience whatsoever. So, how can you surprise and delight your customers when they buy from you? That will be, it's like, it's just giving them the best first impression possible, right? We never have a second chance at a first impression, I guess is that saying. So surprising and delighting your customers when they buy from you is going to give you the best chance of getting some good word of mouth referrals. Obviously, it should go without saying your products also ought to be really good. They need to do what they say on the tin, as the saying goes. So, make sure that you are meeting customers' expectations or exceeding them in terms of your products so that their experience is awesome as well. Another way that you can encourage word of mouth referrals is working, having a consistent effort to collect what we call UGC content, user generated content. That's reaching out to customers. Would they find ways to get that kind of videos and images of your happy customers using your products and giving you their testimonials and their happy reviews, right? And lots of people love to share that with their friends. So for example, if you get a really great testimonial video from a customer, or an unboxing video, or a demo video from a customer, post it on your socials and let them know that it's there, because they'll often want to share that with their friends. You also want to make sure that your social proof is dynamically updating on your website, and wherever possible, have it auto syncing to places like Google reviews and so on, because that all helps in terms of getting the reach from and the benefit from from your existing customers. Also, you can add the Collabs app to your Shopify store. I'm sure there's there's probably plugins for WordPress that do a similar thing, and for apps for other website platforms. But the Collabs app, we have a number of clients who do really well out of that app on their store, because happy repeat customers, brand ambassadors, those sorts of people, they can get a bit of a financial kickback when their referrals result in a new customer conversion. Obviously, you could formalize a refer a friend campaign, although I often find that doesn't work super well, but you can give that a whirl as well, right? Another way you can do it is to run a giveaway that uses viral share functionality. So there's an app called Viral Sweep. There'd be other apps similar to it as well. In the past, I've used Gleam. .io, and I've used ShortStack as well. That's a while ago now, but by viral sharing, I mean like literally go out to your existing customer base or email database and say, hey, we're running a giveaway, you're already entered, or even when new people enter, it's like for extra points, share this with your friends, and sort of try and encourage that viral sharing functionality. Then the third thing that I want to just quickly mention again for your earned traffic and sales is trying to gain the credibility through media mentions and awards. So I told you the story before about a couple of our clients recently getting a free mention on the Mum's Grapevine digital magazine, and that's been fantastic. Right now I know there's the Oz Mumpreneur Awards judging happening. I'm helping with that judging, in fact, but there's various different business awards, there's various different product awards. All of those sorts of things help in terms of credibility, increasing trust for new customers when they come to your website. So don't forget to add an as seen in section on your website, and then also use that the logo from that publication or that awards program in things like email, social media, advertisements, and so on. And if you can, try and get a backlink to boost your SEO as well. Oh, I need to take a deep breath, because that's a lot of options right there for you. And in fact, after I listed them all out for my notes here, I counted, I think it was like 46 different things that you can do. So hopefully you can implement at least 5 of them right now, and maybe try and do 5 every week for the next couple of months or something along those lines, where you can start to incrementally gain your results over time. And the idea with using these sorts of strategies is to help you generate more free traffic to your website, and to help improve your conversion rate and the revenue generated from your website, so that you can get a nice sales boost. And who doesn't want that right now? I also want to mention that most of this, plus of course getting your paid ad strategies up and running, is what we teach you how to do in our coaching program. So if you love the idea of really focusing in hard on the best free or cheap marketing strategies to grow your e-commerce business right now, then I promise you will love our program. We actually have graduates who are still benefiting from implementing all of this stuff years down the road, which in my opinion is a pretty awesome result. I like to equate that to a really excellent cost per wear when you invest in a really nice quality piece of clothing that you'll wear for years and years and years. All right, now don't forget, I will add the links to the show notes page for this episode for all of those other blogs and podcast episodes that I have mentioned throughout this episode, if you want to go back and find them and give them a read or a listen. Next, if you would like to speed up the process and get results faster with all of this stuff, just reach out to me. There's a variety of ways that I can help you depending on what stage of business that you're at. And you know that I love to do this every single day. So whether you are looking for a course or some coaching, or you want to outsource to a team of experts, then just head over to katherinelangman.com/work-with-me to find out about all of those options. But for now, that is it for today's episode. I don't think I've done such an epic episode for ages. I hope you really enjoyed it. Have a fabulous rest of the week, and I will see you guys back on the show next week. Bye for now.